locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time keeping these alligators down.
Wow. It's nice you got some energy today.
Hey, you better believe it. Listen, how about that Ric Flair impersonation right there?
Keep working on it.
Oh, my goodness. Folks, welcome back to Duke Loves Wrestling. I am the Duke. I'm also joined here by the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi. He's not impressed with my Ric Flair impersonation.
No. Listen, I think you just need a little more work. Look, don't quit your day job.
You know who would be impressed with my Ric Flair impersonation?
Not Ric Flair, that's for
sure. So we won't tell Ric Flair. But how about Scoot Andrews, who was on our show last week?
Yeah, maybe.
You know, Scoot Andrews, shout out to the Black Nature boy, Scoot Andrews. Folks have been just over the moon about last week's episode of Duke Loves Wrestling.
We should have had you guys do a Ric Flair off.
Oh,
who
boy.
could do the better? I mean, Scoot made a living off of it. You thankfully don't have to do that because you'd be in big trouble.
Listen, Ric Flair would probably chop the living daylights out of me if I tried that in front of him. Folks, we have another exciting show for you this evening. We are back at the secret location. And listen, first and foremost, I have to slap my hand there. Our illustrious producer, Iron Mike Pelosi, was kind enough to remind me that SummerSlam is 2 weeks away. So last week I announced that on this week's show I would do a preview of SummerSlam. But we're going to push that off until next week, which would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, don't you think so?
Oh, boy, yeah. Well, you know, what would I do without you, Iron Mike Pelosi?
You know, I ask myself that a lot, and quite frankly, I don't know.
This guy continues to put himself over, folks. I'm telling you.
You make it so easy, though.
Yeah, and I regret it. I tell you, I regret it. On tonight's show, we have a special Q&A where Iron Mike Pelosi, I don't know why you listeners out there, you know, folks all over the world keep telling this guy that they're enjoying him giving me a hard time.
Somebody's got to do it.
I mean, I thought you folks liked me here, but you keep punishing me by asking me to bring back the producer, Iron Mike Pelosi, the Boston bad boy, on the mic. I don't get it.
You know, you're not. It's one of those things you won't be able to understand.
Yeah, well, clearly I don't. We also have a special guest making his Duke Loves Wrestling return. Wrestlezone.com's Lovell Porter, one of the most respected guys out there. He's going to stop by, give us some information. So, folks, fasten your safety belt because it's going to be a wild ride. But before we get into any of that, speaking of wild rides, Mike, I got to share this amazing thing that keeps happening to me.
All right.
Okay. Folks keep reaching out, and they keep asking me, Duke, how do
when can Iron Mike come back on the show?
Oh,
right?
my goodness.
They keep asking you that?
Would you stop? This guy, you know, once again, folks, he is putting himself over on this show. No, they're not asking about you, but you know what they are asking about? They're asking, how do they get in touch with pro wrestlers for their special events? Okay? And I let them know. BookProWrestlers.com. That's BookProWrestlers.com. Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Leilani Kai has partnered up with Steve Stasiak to deliver a top-notch one-stop shop for all of your pro wrestling booking needs. So whether you're looking for a pro wrestler to do an autograph signing at your convenience store location, or whether you're looking to put on a wrestling show where they actually get in the ring and mix it up, folks, you have to check out BookProWrestlers.com for stars from yesterday and today. See you at the matches.
You're locked in to Duke Loves Wrestling. Join Duke's Wrestling crew on Facebook for more exclusive content. Now, back to the show.
My goodness, has it been an interesting time in the world of professional wrestling. I mean, I just can't even contain myself with all of the crazy plot twists and turns going on. Here to cover the most important twists and turns going on in the pro wrestling world. Because listen, let me tell you something, folks. I can't keep up with everything by myself. So I got to reach out to some experts here who are staying up day and night to deliver the most accurate inside information that you can get. Okay? So, folks, without further ado, let's welcome back the man with the plan. We're talking about Lovell Porter of Wrestlezone.com. How are you, Porter?
Oh, Brother Duke, I knew you'd come. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Was that a little broken Matt Hardy right there?
Yeah, I've been working on the impression. It's not really hitting, but I'll continue to work on it. We'll try again next time.
Okay. Hey.
So I actually did just spin around. I know you weren't here to see it, but
you know something, you are working on it, and you know the Boston bad boy Iron Mike Pelosi, he's shaking his head in the background. I know you're not here to see that, but you know he's a wise guy, but he does it to me all the time, so don't feel so bad. Listen. What is going on with Ryback? I mean, I turn on the computer, and he has a video where he future endeavors the WWE.
Now the Ryback situation is extremely interesting, which could be taken a lot of different ways. If you know anything about the big guy, he spent a lot of time on social media. That was actually one of the major issues that he had when he was still with the company. He would pretty much say and do whatever he wanted, whether it was still talking about CM Punk after there was an embargo issued on his name, things like that. He just was all over the place. So the fact that upon being released from the WWE that he would, create this video and put it online and essentially future endeavor the WWE, it shouldn't be surprising to anybody who knows anything about Ryback.
So when we say future endeavor, can you catch the listeners up? What does it mean to be future endeavored? Where did that start from?
Future endeavored is a term that's been greatly attributed mostly to the John Laurinaitis era of being in charge of WWE talent relations. Mm-hmm. Anytime that somebody was released for a contract, regardless of what the reasoning behind it was, on the WWE website, there would be an article that said something along the lines of Ryback, or whatever his real name is, has been released from his WWE contract. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. So
basically, it was an announcement that you've been kicked to the curb.
Basically, and wrestling fans being the creative bunch that they are, they noticed that the same phrase kept being used, and it just became a thing. I think at one point the WWE actually had a T-shirt for it. Back when John Laurinaitis was a on-screen character. I could be wrong on that, but I think that was a thing.
Wow. So what happened with that whole situation? Why did Ryback ultimately not work out in the WWE?
I think a lot of things play into it. I think the major thing was Ryback just wasn't happy with the spot he was in within the WWE. It's something that he's talked about at length. Whenever you're in the wrestling, you be at the top of the card, regardless of what your skill set is. He claimed for it not to be about that, but at the same time, he made outlandish claims about how he should take over for John Cena, and he's the future of the company.
He should take over for John Cena? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I believe it was the last time John Cena went out with an injury. Ryback was on social media saying that he's ready to grab the brass ring, which it's admirable, but I mean, in all honesty, it's kind of laughable at the same time.
Wow.
Ryback definitely has some talent, but whether or not he could carry the company on his shoulders is another thing. He was never given the opportunity, so we can't really say he couldn't do it. Mm-hmm, but to hear him say it out loud is pretty outlandish.
So what are we hearing in terms of what's next for Ryback? Do we have any idea of where he may land since he's no longer with the WWE?
Well, I believe he is actually he has a booking lined up, and there was a rumor all over the internet that he, for some reason, was going to be able to keep his name. But he's advertised at that booking as the big guy formerly known as Ryback. So clearly he didn't have the cachet to still walk away with the name Ryback, especially seeing as how he didn't create it, he shouldn't be able to. So that was I'm not entirely sure if that was an indie event or it could have just been an autograph signing with, I think the company was called Wrestle Crave, I think it was called. So I'm not sure if he'll actually be wrestling. There hasn't been any direct indication of where exactly Ryback will land. The obvious place that you would think that, he would probably get a great run at would be someplace like TNA. They have a habit of snapping up former WWE wrestlers, anybody with any name recognition or face value that they can use to potentially get themselves over, which makes sense.
So when you talk about the name, so we're talking about because obviously the guy's name is not Ryback. Am I correct? I believe it's Ryan Reeves.
Ryan Reeves, yep.
So how this guy gets paid and how he's marketed and known all these years has been the Ryback character. So there's a possibility that he will not be allowed to take his character name to another wrestling federation like TNA?
I'm almost 100% sure that the WWE would not. That's not something that they would allow.
Wow.
The people who leave the WWE and keep their name, people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, they didn't really leave the WWE, though. They're still on very good terms with them, and they were such big stars that, deals are worked out between them and Vince to allow them to keep the name. Someone like CM Punk, he owns that name. So the WWE has no claim to it.
Wow.
So someone like Ryback, 9 times out of 10, we'll see him in the TNA ring in a few months, and his name will be Triback or something along those lines. In all honesty, if I were Ryback, whether you're a fan of the guy or not, if you look at his in-ring style, he should be looking at a place like New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling, they love large American wrestlers. People with the skill set of Ryback, big, somewhat lumbering, but somewhat agile at the same time, strong power moves. He could get over huge in a place like New Japan.
Well, in Japan, that's the home of Godzilla. So when you have a guy who's big and muscular like Ryback, I know he's not necessarily the tallest guy in the world, but, he does look impressive. Yeah, I believe that could work over there. That's a good call out there. Porter, speaking of WWE future endeavors, Joey Styles, the former voice of ECW, he's been let go by the WWE?
Yeah, I believe it was as of yesterday. He was, I guess you could say he was future endeavored.
Wow.
As far as the reasoning behind it, that's still unclear. Outlets are reporting that it could have potentially had something to do with a Q&A he did on Facebook, where I don't know if Joey Styles is extremely outspoken, regardless of what his position within the company has been. He's never been one to bite his tongue. He made some comments towards, how Vince sees Roman Reigns and why Roman Reigns is still being pushed the way he is and so forth. I personally didn't think they were that incendiary. But with the WWE, you can never really tell. They could be sensitive to things like that. It could have also been a situation where his exit was planned, and that's one of the reasons why he answered the questions the way he did in the Q&A. The details are really sketchy at this point, so it's really hard to say exactly what happened, but I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Well, Joey Styles is a very talented person there. We definitely wish him all the best. Joey, I'm sure you're listening out there. You're more than welcome to come on Duke Loves Wrestling, and we can discuss your career in pro wrestling and where you're going to be moving forward. Because, Joey Styles, he's a great talent there.
I actually have a quote from his Facebook Q&A that I just pulled from Wrestlezone. The great Nick Paglino posted earlier today in his write-up of the situation. Joey said the following: bottom line is, if our chairman thinks he sees a future star as a babyface, that's how things are going to play out. But the answer is that Vince thinks it can work. He's been right much of the time, more so than he's ever been wrong over the course of the last 40 years. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to second-guess the chairman. So an answer like that, it's somewhat innocuous. It's pointing out the fact that Vince can be stubborn, but it's not that incendiary. So if the Q&A, obviously this is a small piece of the Q&A, but if that had anything to do with it, I would be surprised.
That's very interesting, and I appreciate that direct quote there, Joey Styles. Staying on the WWE train here, what the heck is going on with Conor McGregor of the UFC? He's been making some strong statements about what he's going to do to WWE wrestlers. Can we get some information about that?
Conor McGregor is a master promoter. Once he finishes his in-ring career or in-cage career, he really should look at promoting fights. He's, in my opinion, he's the Floyd Mayweather of the UFC. That said, the comments that he made about WWE superstars, and more specifically Brock Lesnar being juiced to his eyeballs, those comments he made, obviously they put eyes on him, and it's a good means to promote the fight. But the WWE had nothing to do with those comments. This isn't some larger arcing storyline that's going to lead to something with the WWE. For all intents and purposes, I can't tell you if McGregor meant what he said, but what he said was legit. It had nothing to do with the WWE. Those are comments that he made.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if he really believed that, obviously. And again, he's Floyd Mayweather for all intents and purposes. But they were legit comments. You would automatically think that when it comes to something like this, that there would be, some sort of, this is going to turn into an angle. He's going to show up in a WWE ring. That's not to say that can't happen in the future, but that's not what this is right now. The responses that you've seen online from people like Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, even Sasha Banks, they're legitimate answers.
Oh boy! So are you saying that the wrestlers are taking exception to Conor McGregor threatening to slap them?
Yes.
And the wrestlers are responding back, saying they'll do something back to him?
Of course. How else would you expect the wrestler to respond? Even though wrestling at this time is not what it was back in the 80s, they still have that same gang mentality. You can't come for a wrestler's throat without being beat down by the 10 wrestlers that they're. The fact that Sasha Banks, even Becky Lynch chimed in on this, and it's amazing. Now, I would hope as a fan that this would eventually turn into some sort of an angle that we could see on TV, but as it stands right now, Conor McGregor should probably stay away from WWE live events.
Well, I believe that. I mean, Conor McGregor is a great UFC fighter, but he's not the biggest guy in the world.
Not at all.
And there's a lot of tough WWE legitimate shooters like Dolph Ziggler and some of these other guys, Swagger and all these guys. So, boy, Conor McGregor, be careful out there, man. Switching up speeds here, Porter. The broken Matt Hardy over at TNA. He bit a fan during Impact last week. What was that? What the heck happened there?
It's escalation. That's the best way I could put it. Once you put yourself on TV and you gain notoriety for doing insane things, you have to up the ante on a weekly basis. Obviously, it was a work. It wasn't real blood. If you look at his face, you could tell it was synthetic blood. But it's only going to get worse as the weeks go on. Don't be surprised if he starts biting the heads off bats.
Biting the heads off bats? What is he, Ozzy Osbourne now? My goodness.
I'm just saying, it's a matter of escalation. You had to see this coming.
This guy is he's out there. I mean, Matt Hardy is wacky, but people are talking about it. And for a company like TNA that has been having some tough times, I guess, is this good or bad, do you think, Porter?
The only buzz TNA has been able to generate over the past, I would say, when did they sign Hulk Hogan? 4 or 5 years ago? Mm-hmm. Since that point, the only buzz that they've been able to generate is the broken Matt Hardy angles.
Wow.
So, in all honesty, there's nothing at this point that he could do that could possibly hurt TNA. Everything he does seems to be gold. So, you take the attention where you can get it.
That's a good call out there. Now, speaking of TNA, and I know that this is something that Dixie Carter is not going to be happy that I'm going to bring up here, but we need some exclusive information from you, WrestleZone's Lovell Porter, because you're one of the most respected guys doing this right now. What is going on with TNA and their business name? I'm hearing some information about the legalities here. Can you give us some background? Well,
obviously, legalese is not my forte, but I do have a bit of information on this, and bear with me. So, TNA Wrestling was originally the business name of the company. In 2015, they filed various sets of name change paperwork in Tennessee. From what's been gathered up to this point, both TNA Wrestling and Impact Ventures, LLC, which is another name that they're known by, are no longer registered companies in the state of Tennessee.
Whoa, wait a second. Are you telling me that TNA, the name TNA Wrestling is not registered officially as a business in Tennessee any longer?
Nope, I believe that was as of yesterday.
Wow. Yeah. So if they're operating under that name, then they're technically operating illegally.
Technically, yes. But you have to keep in mind that they were recently, well, I don't know if they were officially sold, but rumor has it the company has actually been sold. So they could be preparing to switch to a new name. I believe, was it Arlux LLC? Is the rumored new owner of the TNA brand. So, it remains to be seen how this will play out. So this could have all been done on purpose. We really don't know what the implication is going to be moving forward. It's hard to believe that a company, Panda Energy, that they would put themselves in a position where they would be operating illegally if there wasn't some reasoning behind it. I can't think of anything that they would gain from doing this other than the fact that maybe they were about to switch over to new branding.
Wow, that would be a scary situation because at any time the government could shut them down if they're operating shows without being a legally registered organization.
No, and to be fair, they could be banking on the fact that they're TNA and maybe nobody's paying attention. But
Oops, Dixie Carter. I'm sorry that we're breaking this story on our show here. Please don't beat me up if the government comes down. My goodness.
If Impact doesn't air this Thursday, it might be Duke's fault. Good job, Duke. Good job. I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you asked, I figured I'd run it down for you.
I'm not going to take too much credit there. While we have you, Porter, what is going on with the whole SmackDown and Raw situation where the fans have ordained SmackDown the number one show?
I think one of the reasons why SmackDown is being called the number one show, and before I even get into that, I honestly don't think that's the case. It seems to be a dead heat between the two, but you have to look at who's actually on. AJ Styles, you have Daniel Bryan, and you have Shane McMahon. Think about the fans that are saying that SmackDown is a better show than Raw. Are they the casual fans, or are they the diehards? Who do you think the diehards want to see? Do they want to see Stephanie McMahon, or they want? Who do you think they would rather see? That was the question.
You said who would they rather see? Can you repeat that again?
Who would they rather see on their TV? Stephanie McMahon or Shane McMahon?
Shane McMahon, absolutely.
As much as we all love Mick Foley, if they had to choose between Mick Foley and Daniel Bryan,
well, I mean, come on, Daniel Bryan is one of the most popular wrestlers in modern history.
Exactly my point. So it's a smart reaction to the people who are saying that SmackDown is a better show than Raw. Obviously, you've been watching. How do you feel about it?
Well, I got to tell you, I want Raw to be a better show personally, but I do have to admit there's something about SmackDown. I don't feel that they're doing one thing overwhelmingly better than Raw, but the collection, the entire show, it's like a Jay-Z album. A Jay-Z album, you can try to pick out one track here or one track there and hope that it's a radio hit, and that doesn't always happen. But the entire album collectively is better than anything else going. And that's how I feel about SmackDown. The entire show right now is better than anything else going, and Raw is struggling.
Well, you also have to take into consideration the age-old 3-hour to 2-hour thing.
Oh, don't get me started. We had Iron Mike Pelosi last week. He went off. He sounded off on the fact that Raw is 3 hours and how he was so upset about it. This guy, I can see his blood boiling right now. So please, hey, see, there we go. You're going to get him going there, Porter. Oh my goodness. So what are you feeding into this nonsense too? That you think that the 3 hours is handicapping Raw in some way?
Well, it is. If you have to fill 3 hours of programming, when you don't necessarily have the roster to do it, you don't have enough great talkers. You don't have enough great in-ring performance. How do you fill 3 hours? That's one thing that SmackDown has over Raw. They have a limited amount of time. They condense it. They have somewhat longer matches. The show flows a little bit better because of that. SmackDown effectively has a third hour. It's just it's on the network and it's a post show.
Good point. Porter, we bring you on to provide us with some key insight in the wrestling business, but we don't bring you on to agree with the Boston bad boy Iron Mike Pelosi. Okay, you're making me look bad here amongst all the ears around the world. I can't believe this here. You know, my goodness. Hey, Porter, what is going on with Nia Jax? Just last bit here. Do you got a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the way that WWE's pushing Nia Jax right now?
I give it a thumbs up. They're doing what they need to do to build a monster. I love the fact that they've brought back I don't want to use the word dropper, but I really don't have enhancement talent to make her look strong. They're doing the same thing with Braun Strowman, but we won't talk about him right now. Putting her in the ring and having her utterly destroy the people in front of her gives the people who don't know who she is the impression that she's the monster that she should be. I know that one of your criticisms of her in the past was the fact that she doesn't work like a monster. I think that over the past few weeks, she's somewhat corrected that. She's literally running over these women in the ring. So when she finally steps into the ring with the likes of, they're both heels, but Dana Brooke or Charlotte or something along those lines, if she tosses them around the ring like they're nothing, it's believable. Because that's what the casual fan knows. They know that she comes in the ring and she utterly destroys everything in her path. And, honestly, I would love to see her do well. She just seems like such an awesome person. If you've ever had a conversation with her, whether it be on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever the case is, she just seems like a nice person, and she's lovely in every way. So I'm just saying.
Listen, we didn't bring you on the show to flirt with Nia Jax. All right, if she's supposed to be a heel, not a baby face, you're over here making googly eyes at the woman. My goodness,
it's hard not to.
What is going on, folks? What is going on?
Mike, back me up on this, Mike.
You're on your own on this one, pal.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm here. When you back me up, I'm all for it. But you got to be out on the limb on this one.
My goodness,
oh, Lord.
Porter, she could beat you up, man. I mean, come on, jeez.
How do you know I don't like that?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Porter, how can the listeners get in touch with you then?
Oh, they can find me on Twitter at Above Average LLP. They can also check out the Remember to Hit Report podcast, which I co-host. It's not a wrestling podcast, even though wrestling does come up, and we do work a bit blue, if you know what that means. It can get a little dirty. But a close friend of mine called it the Barbershop Podcast. I won't say who that. I don't want to give that close friend any more of a rub than he needs, so we won't mention the fact that it was Duke who called it that. But we basically...
Oh, boy. You know what? I might have to hang up on you right now. I'm going to interject again here. This is getting too much.
It seems that I can't please Duke today. I can't please Mike. What's going on?
Yeah.
Some days it's just not your day, brother.
That's it.
But definitely check out the Remember to Hit Report podcast. We talk about everything under the sun, politics, music, sports, everything.
And also, what about your Wrestlezone?
Oh, right. If you go to Wrestlezone.com and just type in Lovell Porter, you can find me. I cover Monday Night Raw's live coverage and NXT's live coverage. So that's every Monday and every Wednesday. You can check me out live. There is a comment section below the article, so if you want to chat during a thing, I do pay attention to that and have very colorful conversations with some of our readers. So that's always fun. And
spell that name for us, just real quick for us, to make sure we got it right.
The name is Lovell. Last name is Porter.
Lovell Porter, one of the most respected people doing it today in the pro wrestling journalism business, took some time to come out here and bless our ears, folks. Lovell Porter, thank you very much once again. Although I don't appreciate you agreeing with Iron Mike Pelosi, but outside of that, thank you very much for joining us on Duke Loves Wrestling.
Anytime, Duke. Have a good one, Mike.
Boy, was that great, huh? Lovell Porter from Wrestlezone.com. He really knows his stuff. Iron Mike Pelosi.
He agrees with me.
Oh, jeez.
So that's the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I guess nobody's perfect, huh?
Wow.
So what do we have coming up next?
We got Q&A coming up next, and we're loaded this week. So you better get your boots on, as they say.
Oh boy! After the ringer you've put me through the last 2 weeks, I can only imagine. But Q&A is good stuff, and you know something else, Boston bad boy Iron Mike Pelosi.
What's that?
You know what else is good stuff? Barnyard cheese. Okay, that's right, folks. The Duke can't stop talking about all of the delicious soups, sandwiches, cheeses, everything that they have over at Barnyard Cheese Shop over in New York City. Okay? To this day, my favorite sandwich is their meatball parm hero. We're talking about house-made meatballs in delicious marinara sauce. fresh ricotta cheese, grated Parmesan, oh my goodness, on a toasty, delicious baguette. Don't you think it's time for you to get up and see what all the fuss is about? Visit barnyardcheese.com for menu info, or just head over to 149 Avenue C between 9th and 10th Streets in New York City. Enjoy.
You're locked in to Duke Loves Wrestling. Join Duke's Wrestling crew on Facebook for more exclusive content. Now, back to the show.
All right, folks, we are on a roll tonight, and I can't wait to see what sort of goodies we have this week for this Ask Duke Q&A session. The Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi.
What's up, brother?
Hopefully you don't have any questions from your bookie or anything like you did last week.
I always get all kinds of questions. The biggest question I always ask myself is, what the hell am I doing here? Button heads with you every week as you toe the line, as it were.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what I'm here for, man. As some would say, we're all savages. Shout out to Macho Man Randy Savage, rest in peace.
That's right. That's right. Some more than others, though, as it found out. I was looking on the Facebook this week.
Oh, boy.
And, not only does Lovell agree with me about Raw being too long, going way back to our previous conversation about the Universal Championship.
Not this again.
Yeah, no. You know why? Because it refuses to die. And the reason it refuses to die is because people agree with me.
At this point, you're a broken record. Okay? Every week, you're bringing up this Universal Championship.
Wait a minute. I'm not bringing it up. The listeners, the fans are bringing it up. And let me read you something here. And this is a quote from Facebook because I don't remember exactly what the discussion was. It didn't have anything to do directly with the Universal Belt. I don't think so. But people started talking about commenting on the show. And then here's a quote from Diamond Dave, if I may be so bold.
Diamond Dave? What is he, your thumb breaker or something? Diamond Dave.
You better watch it. He might be. So you better watch it. Diamond Dave says, quote, "The Boston bad boy is right. The Universal Championship is a stupid name, and 3 hours is too long for Raw. Don't get me wrong, I love wrestling, but my wife, Queen Jessie, feels 10-plus hours a week is too much for anyone." Double whammy on that one, okay, man? 3 hours too long for Raw, and Universal Belt not jiving with him either.
All right. First of all, Diamond Dave. Okay, I'm pretty sure you were a wrestling fan well before you got married.
Oh,
okay?
wait a minute. You're not going to be able to litigate that case.
No.
You're not going to. All right. Okay.
Who wears the pants in that family? That's what I want to know. Okay. Listen, Diamond Dave, turn up the volume because the Duke's talking to you now.
We are in dangerous territory here.
Yeah, you got that right, Jack. You tell your wife, for better or for worse, wrestling is here to stay. Okay? This is amazing.
Is this you getting mad at somebody's wife because your fans agree with me? Is that what this is?
It's ridiculous. I mean, people complain about having more. You hear what I'm saying? More wrestling content.
Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Oh, brother, are you kidding me?
You want to be there's a reason why the cliffhanger is a thing, because people want to be left a little more. It gives you something to look forward to. Is not wrestling an escape from the doldrums of daily life? And then now you're faced with too much of it. It's in your face. It's every 10 plus hours.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we got 10 plus hours.
You got to eat. You got to sleep.
Have you ever sat through a baseball game, buddy?
No, that's true. Listen, I'm not going to fight you on that.
Yeah. I mean, we are in Boston, right? Let's ask David Ortiz how he feels about you complaining about 10 plus hours.
He's laughing all the way to the bank. He doesn't care what I got to say.
That's a good point. Shout out to David Ortiz, Big Poppy. Listen, we know you're listening, brother. Come on the show anytime.
We'd love to have Poppy on.
That's
right.
Man. Hey, I know he's a wrestling fan, too.
All right. I got a question. Enough of our bickering.
Oh, boy.
This may lead to more bickering, but whatever.
Just ask the question.
It comes from Jenna Marie, and she asks, Duke, do you feel Seth Rollins is strong enough to be the face of the Raw brand, or is he not strong enough to be the guy? She said.
Huh.
With 2 E's.
Well, I know. That's pretty good.
I mean, is the guy.
The guy. Well, Jenna Marie, that's a great question. Seth Rollins is a person that can put on solid matches, okay? He's a former champion. He's back after that terrible injury that he had to his ACL and MCL. With all of that said, no, I do not feel Seth Rollins can be the guy. I believe that he is like a lot of the other folks, where he's a piece of the puzzle, but he is not the face on the box. Okay? You take a guy like John Cena, that's a face on the box. He can do it all. Seth Rollins just doesn't have that type of temperament. He doesn't have that personality where he can cross over to the folks in Hollywood and to the kids and everybody else. He just wrestles, and he's very good at that. So there's nothing wrong with the type of person Seth Rollins is. But no, I don't feel that Seth Rollins is the guy.
All right, I got to ask you a follow-up to that then.
Uh-oh.
Who do you think is?
Okay.
Who is the face on the box for you in that role as it pertains to Raw?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Now, surprisingly, I know. Imagine that.
I know, right? Thank you.
You finally have a great question.
Yeah. Oh, just answer the question. Don't patronize me.
My goodness, somebody like Sasha Banks. You didn't expect me to go there, did you, folks? Somebody like Sasha Banks is the type of person that can appeal to a wide range of people in the audience. Okay, she looks great. She can wrestle just as well as anybody. She is the cousin of Snoop Dogg, so she has those connections. I'm telling you, she knows stars, man, and she is a star. She's the boss. So I feel Sasha Banks could be positioned to be the face of the Raw brand. And ironically enough, on Facebook, if you were to put in Raw the other night, it was just Sasha Banks in front of the Raw banner. So, hey, Vince McMahon, you must agree with me there or something there.
No, don't get ahead of yourself.
Hey.
But I do appreciate that instead of just, crapping on everybody and about their opinions and giving your own, that you finally gave some useful advice. You provided some solutions rather than just pointing out problems.
That's right.
Moving on. Next question comes from Charles the Icon.
The Icon? Oh, he sounds like a big deal.
Is everybody in the Mafia? I mean, everyone's gonna. This is good. He is a big deal. Apparently, the Icon. Yeah. Obviously, you don't get that name unless you are a big deal. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on where they put the announce table on Raw? It's a new position. Do you like it or don't you like it?
Boy, it's interesting because they moved the announce table, folks, from where the midpoint of the ring is to the back of the arena, which is where, ironically, World Championship Wrestling used to have their announce table. So it's away from the ring. Folks, I got to be honest with you, I don't like it. I think it's terrible for this reason. It takes away from the experience for the fans. And let me speak personally on this. I was at the WWE TLC pay-per-view that was held here in Boston, Massachusetts. And where I was sitting with my bodyguard and a couple of friends there, Caitlin and Dan, shout out there, we were sitting third row right next to the Spanish announce table, which was next to the main announce table. Okay, and it was great. We were in camera view. There was a lot of action over there, so folks get to be on TV and all this good stuff. Well, you've taken the announce tables away from that part of the arena and you pushed it all the way to the back, so now those fans in that spot don't get the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it used to be from the beginning. You were in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
The announcers are in the trenches, occasionally getting into the mix.
Absolutely.
Or getting their equipment, certainly getting into the mix. And when the cameras were down there, you had this, people coming in and out of the frame, like who's jumping in and out.
Action.
It's action. And you're not dividing focus because with the announcers being as much a part of the event as the action in the ring, if you've got these guys at the back and then you've got why are we separating where people are looking?
It's crazy.
Why don't we just focus everything? There has to be a reason. I mean, do you know of any actual reasoning? Have they made did it just happened?
They're just trying to give a different feel, which is, unfortunately, I don't like it. But wait a second.
Wrong feel, maybe.
Boston Bad Boy, are you agreeing with the Duke? Wow, look at this.
Listen, that's like me saying, do I agree with you if the sky is blue? Obviously, I'm not going to fight you on the sky being blue.
Okay,
there are some universal truths, unlike the universal belt, but there are some universal truths that, wrestling is why. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Why are we messing with the formula?
Just when we think you're taking a step forward, you take 5 steps back. That's what's happening.
I got to keep you on your toes. If you get complacent, the people they're going to know. I do a lot of work here.
Here we go
to keep you going.
Here we go. What else do you got?
Well, I think I got one more, and this is this is a good one.
Now wait a second. The last 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
When you've said you had a good one, you've caused all kinds of ruckus. I mean,
if by ruckus you mean most people agreeing with me instead of you, I could see it. Maybe in your life that's a ruckus because you're used to being right all the time and this and that.
No. On Facebook, on Twitter, at Duke Loves Rasslin, we have the listeners. They keep chiming in on the Boston Bad Boys question.
Yeah, and agreeing with me
every
most
week.
of them.
Okay,
yeah.
but let's just try to take it easy this week, okay? Let's not go too far.
I don't think so.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Right. We have wrestling. We have professional wrestling. And over the past couple of years, there's been a huge shift and a huge focus to bring in female wrestlers.
Okay.
All right? And who are now a big part of the primetime action.
They are actually headlining sometimes.
And headlining sometimes.
Yeah.
Why then, dovetailing into our conversation about moving the announce table, why then is there not a single female on any of the announce teams? In mostly every other sport, we have a predominance of females, sideline reporters, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we know that WWE has sort of backstage reporters, and we call them sideline, I guess.
Yeah.
But no one on the actual announce table. And if we're featuring, especially if we're featuring female wrestlers, what gives?
Well, let's back up for a second, okay? Because the WWE does have Renee Young, and they have her do the pre-shows, especially
all right, wait a minute. They got into a bidding war with ESPN over this person.
Yeah, Renee Young's a big deal.
That's right. And so they win, write probably an absurdly large check.
Oh, she's paid.
Only to not utilize her fully. Why?
Oh, boy. So what, the pre-shows are not enough for you? What do you want?
You've got somebody who is at the top of their game as an announcer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Could work anywhere, obviously, at the premier level. You grab her, and then you don't let her work at the top level where she could be involved right in the action, in the mix.
So what are you saying? Are you saying you want to take away? What do you want to take away? A Corey Graves, or you want to take away a JBL?
Take away anything. You get 3 hours of Raw to fill up. We just discussed about this,
brother.
We can't rotate somebody in. You can't rotate somebody in during the ongoing and give her a spot.
What? Well, listen, I don't want to say anything bad about Renee Young because I do respect her a lot and I think she does a good job. But I don't know where you would put her.
What do you mean? Where? Is this some sort of a conspiracy? Is that what we're getting at here?
We go.
What do you mean you don't know where you'd put her? I just told you where you could put her.
The team's already set. We already have announced teams that have this synergy.
Here's an idea. Create another team. Wow. I'm sure they could find another woman or another man to partner with her to do their own team.
Okay, so now you're the champion of Renee Young. You want to kick somebody off the announce team.
I am a lover of all women, first of all.
Oh, here we go, folks.
I love all women. I believe the great Donald said that at one point, but I really respect women. And why don't we listen? We have them in the ring.
Yeah.
Obviously, people want that perspective. It just makes sense that they would be fully involved in all aspects.
But we really haven't had that before. We're talking about tradition, Pelosi.
Tradition? Don't go down the line of tradition with me, okay? Because if it was all about tradition, we'd still have elevator operators because, well, that's the way it's always been instead of us just being able to push a button and go to whatever floor we want to go to.
Would you stop?
Tradition.
Oh, my goodness.
Would you stop?
Well, hey.
You know what? I'm done with Q&A for today. I'm done with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, he is unglued. He has become unglued tonight. I don't know what's going on with this guy. But, hey, folks, this is my time to pull the plug before it gets too crazy. Because, like I said, I don't want somebody like Vince McMahon to come into our secret location and bust somebody up. I want to thank Lovell Porter of Wrestlezone.com, and remember to hit record for joining us this evening. Also, a special thanks to all of you listeners for submitting your questions. You know, we do appreciate it, and keep them coming there. Thanks to the Boston Bad Boy, I'm Mike Pelosi, for his great persona and questions. Join us next week, folks, where we review SummerSlam. And we are joined by another special guest to help break it down. Who's it going to be? You'll have to tune in and find out. This is the Duke. Bye-bye, everybody.